Hello everyone and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today we are going to be going over our updated crystals for September 2025. Edania has been out for a little bit now, and I have actually changed a lot of things for both PvP, PvE, and with the new crystals for Lifeskillers as well. I figured we have some more things to talk about as well. So I thought this is a good time to update my crystals. So whether you're a beginner or you're like returning, I hope these help you, and we'll try to cover all of them, and we'll also talk about like beginner replacements for various things as well. So hopefully this video covers everything, no matter if you're a PvEer, PvPer, life skiller, or you do a combination of everything. Anyway, let's get started. So with that said, let's start with the PvE stuff all the way at the top. Okay, so this is generally what most people use for two different things if you are overcapped in a grind spot. So let's talk about that. What does that mean before we start anything? So if you look over here, pick a grind spot, let's say any spot that you grind in general. Let's take this one for example. By default, you're going to see this number. These are your stats, your AP, DP, and all that stuff. And then this is what the game recommends. What you would do is hit your view total stats, and if your number is bigger than this number, green is good, red is not good. If your number is over the effective limit, that means you are overcapped. And what you would do after that is AP is less relevant, but you want special attack damage. So like crit damage, back attack, down, air, and so on. So yeah, bigger number, more special attack. Red number, more AP. All right, with that said, we covered the basics. Let's start with this. This is what I use when I'm overcapped, and it's generally like you're trading off a little bit of AP for more defensives and also attack cast speed, which is very important. So even if you're PvEing, you get the 1% extra attack cast speed here, and then these are HP, more defensives, and these are just like extra stuff. This is like crit damage. You could replace these corrupteds with back attack, mysterious darkness as well if you wanted to. I think just generally, if you are not locked in 100% of the time of your grinding, corrupted is very competitive, but also like back attack will do slightly more, but you have to actually get that back attack most of the time for it to be slightly better. So I just put corrupted for the sake of sometimes not always locked in 100% of the time, so that's why I have them. And then aside from that, your default stuff, I'll scroll down so you guys can look at all of these, take a screenshot, do whatever you want. And then keep in mind that I also have Hans, which are the endgame crystals. Is it really a big deal if you have them? No, it's +3. Yes, it is better, but also it's like one of the new stuff. So I assume as long as you have something in here, more is better than nothing. So even if you have these regular gins at +4, that's fine. All right, so this is the uncapped one. So that means, let's say you're a less geared player, and you're just trying to reach the AP caps of whatever spot you're grinding at, right? So you use Macalods because they give you the 4-step effect, and it gives you, +5 AP, and it's just nice to have. So +3 for each crystal, +5 for the full effect. Then we're going to have more Void of Destructions. The alternative to this one would be this crystal. So Precise Destruction and Void Destruction. These are essentially the same thing. The Void is +2 more. It's one of the things you get from Elvia or Zekia. You get the pieces, combine that. But this is the budget one. This is the rebuild. This is 100 mil. You could buy a lot of these. +2 AP difference. And that's about it. So budget option is very nice. Same with the Ak rods. There's the purple one that's like -2 AP, but significantly cheaper as well. And then over here, we have basically the same things, but we have like more, instead of the extra attack speed, we have a little bit of defensives because I figured that is also nice. You can replace this with anything else if you wanted to. So with that said, scrolling down for all of these crystals so you can see what they are, and that's about it. All right, so these three knockdown, knockback, and stun resist. It's very situational to where you're grinding, and if you are not pay to win or you don't have all the extra crystal slots, that's okay. It doesn't really matter. You only really need one, and then copy this and then replace the crystals in between. So knockdown, what I have here is basically it's kind of like the overcap, but you can copy all of these, and then I would replace like Stalwart Fortitude and, you know, one of these Void Destructions or something else, and then put the like knockdown crystals in here if you wanted to. I have a Stalwart Fortitude here, but that's not necessarily needed. It's 10 extra percent plus another 50% over here, so you're getting the bound knockdown 60%. Generally, that's a little bit overkill, because if you're buffed and everything, have an Alkstone on, you're 100%. So in PvE, you are 100%, which is good. Knockdown or knockback and stun resist are the same things. There aren't too many spots that really have higher knockback and stun resist. I will keep in mind that stun resist is important for Edania. 2 of the 3 spots require it, so keep that in mind. You can replace the attack speed for another Void Destruction or the budget version, and then something else with more damage. So what I would do, like for example, if I didn't want this, I'd put this here, and also literally anything else that gives damage. Like, I don't know, you could put a Dark Red Fang Valor, that's plus 5 AP, always good. And I'm not going to talk about these Edania crystals just yet. We'll talk about them later, but these are more for, like, these presets over here are more for people who are not at the end game and not grinding Edania. We'll talk about those crystals in a bit. So yeah, same thing, you change this one, so like you use double giants over here to get the stun stiffness over here, and then knockback is that one with fighting spirit. So once again, these crystals are all the same. Only thing that's different is fighting spirit for knockback and giants for stun resist. All right, so all of these are PvE. Let's talk about some PvP ones right now. So this one is Glass Cannon. You do kind of big damage. You also get clapped really easily. So the idea of this one is extra AP against adventurers with also a little bit of extra accuracy, so you can actually hit other players with evasion and more DR, so that's always good. So yeah, basically anything that could possibly give you extra AP against adventurers, and you have some survivability. I think the red crystal over here, it's not the best, but it gives the best mix of stats to the point it's worth using it over one of the other 2 ones. So like the defense and a Gearin, which would be like the Gearin is PvE, the purple one is defensive. So yeah, I think this one is just the best mix of all the stats, and basically double Karmas over here, double red spirits for AP, and Vipers ×2, more adventure damage here, more damage, accuracy, and more damage. So let me scroll down, show you these crystals. So if you want to take a screenshot, you can use that one. That's cool. And that's what we have. All right, this one is the PvP Defense. I don't really use this as often. It's just, you guys ever go into like RBF or like an uncapped war, and there's always that one person that does no damage, but they're extremely tanky. I kind of wanted to replicate it just because I thought it'd be a fun meme. And yeah, you kind of do that. So with that said, basically everything here is defensive. Get 2 armors, more armors. You could replace the damage part of these with just abundance crystals, because there's no limit to how many you can use. So these are plus 5 all DR for as many as you have. But yeah, aside from that, this was supposed to do a little bit of PvP damage, but mostly it's tanky. That's about it. And then the high priority would be actually more blue crystals in here for minus AP plus DP or damage reduction. You don't do any damage with this, but for the sake of like, I still wanted a mix of it just so I could do some damage, but if you were going full defense, you would not have any HP. You would have like triple or 6 Jins and do no damage. Just keep in mind that they're kind of expensive, so if you don't have a budget, then you would have all Jins. Obviously, that's better and best in slot, but that's what I use. This one is kind of like, you can tweak this how you want, but I kind of wanted a little bit of balance, but more defensive. All right, so this is PvX Arsha. What does that mean? Like, everyone knows what the Arsha server is. You're PvPing, and then if PvP finds you or you find PvP, that's what it's for. So it's a mix of grinding and or like, you know, let's say you're grinding, people find you on the Arsha server, then you 1v1 and duel. That's kind of what this is the idea of. So we have a mix of defenses, because chances are for most spots you're going to be overcapped in that case. If you're on Arsha, you generally know what you're doing. That's what I assume. So we want some damage against monsters too. So like, you're grinding comfortably, and then suddenly someone comes over. Like, you could switch crystal sets if you wanted to that. Let's say you're grinding with something this, and then you swap it out. It's really not a big deal. But for all the lazy people out here and just want one preset for everything, this is what I use. So this gives the most AP against adventurers, which is other players, more damage against players, and the mixed combo crystal. So damage and defensive mix. What do we have here? We have AP, and these are accuracy crystals. Obviously, if you can get the Jin ones, that's better, but those are, once again, expensive and lower on my priority list. So yeah, if you can get those are good. The accuracy, depending on where you're at in the game, like if you have Edania gloves, which gives plus 50, you might not need one extra one. But for people who don't have the Edania gloves, 2 or 3 I would consider good. So yeah, here's the crystal list. A lot of these should be pretty common. You've seen them in my other ones, so that makes sense. If you have a question, or like I'm going too fast and you're wondering what is this crystal, just leave it in the comments and be like, this is at what time, what is this crystal? And I'll tell you. It's not a big deal. So yeah, this is you know, GVGs. Like, have you ever gone to a guild fight in the middle of whatever grind spot? That's what I would use. All right, this is Evasion. Now, admittedly, I don't use this one as much because the classes I play aren't really Evasion, and as we move into Edania, more of the gear is going, you know how it used to be like DR versus Evasion? With Edania gear, that gap narrows down because everyone else has the same gear. So what the difference is would be all these crystals. So yeah, what do I have here is double evasion harpias, 2 bond evasion crystals here, and then aside from that, that's kind of like defensive. So a lot of evasion, less damage. That's what it is. Here is the crystal set. And then we have the defensive tier. You could use whatever you want, but I figured this one is nice just because it adds to the defensive layers. All right, so this one is my defensive. You might be wondering, what is the difference between this one and this one? This one is just all defense. And I use this when I go to a new spot. So, like, you know, when Edania first came out and I went to Orbita for the first time, I died like, I think I've, in my like 20-ish hours grinding that spot, I've died like 5 or 6 times. Just nighttime grinding, a mix of not paying attention, nighttime, and just, you know, random learning it. So usually I use this. It's not necessarily for damage. It's more of a, okay, how hard does this grind spot hit? And then, you know, as I slowly learn the mechanics of the grind spot, I'll swap it to literally, you know, anything else that I think might be nice. Or you could just, honestly, you could use this in PvP as well. Just kind of the same thing as this one, but, you know, this one has a little bit of PvP damage. This one is all damage, and you do no damage. So you can replace all this as you want to. But for the most part, I use this as a test of, like, how hard do enemies hit? Will I get one-shotted by Big Slam? And, yeah, that's about it. Or you, funnily enough, you could use this in the boss splits, like, you know, these boss shrines. And if you just want to eat mechanics and not learn anything, your time is going to be terrible for all these bosses, but you're going to be able to beat it for what that's worth. So yeah, I don't think Calamity 8 to 10 has a time limit. It's just that, you know, it's an option. It's not a good option, but it's an option. So yeah, that one gives a lot of health. To give you an idea, like if you look at here, I have 9,500 health with this one, and this one is 10.2, but I'm not even buffed. I don't have any buffs on. This is 10,000 health. More just like learning slams and hits for everything. All right, so this is accuracy PvP. The idea is you're fighting evasion players, and also you want to be able to do damage as well. So like this one, glass cannon, defensive for PvP, and then I think this one is probably going to be the most used one for PvP in mid to large scale ones, just because, well, I guess maybe not large scale, but like 1v1, small scale, mid-size fights, node wars, maybe like higher tier 2 and up, because you actually have a cap on it. So the idea is you're fighting a mixed bag of players, whether they're DR, evasion, and you still want to do damage, but you also have to get some accuracy. So this one is 216 accuracy, whereas these ones are like 70-ish accuracy. This one gives a lot. So in theory, you should be hitting people, you know, like evasion or not. Unless they're super evasion geared, like full evasion, you're still not going to hit them, but it is what it is. Most people, like I would say 80-90-ish% of people, you'll be able to hit just fine. Doesn't matter what class you're on, assuming you're using this one. So mix of AP against adventurers, big accuracy. If you have Edania gear with the plus 50 on the gloves, that helps even further. And yeah, that's about it. You could swap out all of this for whatever. And here's the setup. So the only thing that's really new is, I would say, Jinn Vipers over here for 20 each, and the accuracy crystals. Obviously Jinn better, but budget. Okay, so let's talk about the Edania crystals now. So this is more for endgame players, and admittedly, I grind this in Orbita. This is the hardest of the 3 endgame spots, but we'll talk about that regardless. So let's talk about the spots before we do anything. Before Edania came out, and before I got any of these species damage crystals, I was able to grind all 3 spots without the species crystal. So to give you an idea, for all of you like, oh, I can't get this yet, I have to grind to get it. Don't worry, I was able to do all 3 spots without the crystal. This crystal just allows you to play more defensively and play with extra defense crystals and be safer. But do you need it? No, it just, you could play around with other things. So I was able to do all 3 grind spots without it. So keep that in mind. Okay, so this is what I do for, I guess this one is kind of like more for the general purpose. So like spots 1 and 2, I could do Orbita with this one. However, Orbita back attacks aren't really as important. So we'll talk about the Edania 2 crystals in a second. But this one, if you do Nymphomere Castle or Etherion, this is what I'd use. If you don't have the Jinn crystal, you could replace this one for like Void Destruction. You could also replace it for Alucas for more speed, more damage if you need it, or literally anything else. But just, this is what I use. You can replace this with whatever. So I chose this one because it's a little bit safer and I am overcapped. And also you could swap it out for whatever. If you're doing the first 2 spots, you would replace it with, what is it? What are the crystals for stun resist? Giants, yeah. So Giants, you can use that one. So using this one, this is kind of what I use just because I like to double HP. Trust me, I've grinded spots where it does not, like Orbita is not safe. I've seen people with more gear than I am, just 100 to 0. And so I prefer to get a little bit less trash loot an hour, but not die and lose a 2 billion silver crystal. So that's just me. You guys can play as reckless as you want. If you lose a crystal, that's on you. I choose to take a small trash loot loss every hour, but I don't die. Very rarely, at least. All right, so this one is Edania 2. This is more, so like this one, works for all 3 spots. However, Orbita, just back attacks are a little bit less relevant. This one is more tailored towards Orbita because since you don't use back attacks, I replaced this with resistances because you do need knockdown resist. So let me show you something. If you look at these 2 spots, you see this one, Ethereum Castle and Nymphomare. It requires, or not requires, but highly recommends, and I would recommend it to you guys too, stun stiffness, whereas Orbita requires knockdown. Ideally, you want 100% because it's tough. So anyway, the idea is I have 1 adamantine here. We have 45% knockdown and stun, which, let me just put this on for a second to give you an idea. This right here, you guys can see 90% knockdown resist, and you get 100 if you are fully buffed. You get, I think, tent buff gives 10%. Your Lightstone should give 2 if you have Vel from here. And then also, if you have extras, you could also use the Perfume of Kalk. It's more resistance, less damage, but you can get that other 10% from other sources. So this is an option, but ideally you're still using Deep Seas or Courages for the most part. So yeah, that's what I have. So once again, Edania Crystal Set 1 is for, you know, it could do all of them. And then it has more HP. So like you see how I have 8900 with Edania 2 set up. This one is full resistance for Orbita, no like minimal back attack, but it feels a little bit safe for a specific spot. This one is probably the better overall usage because that's just how I feel on it. But yeah, I use this one, like the normal one, and it has a little bit more health. I do trade off a little bit more trash loot because I could take out these HP crystals and put like attack speed or something. This one is more safer in a way, but very specific for what you're doing. So either way, I think both of these are fine. I would prefer this one for just a general usage, and then this one is like a tailored spot crystal setup. All right, so with the new Lifeskill crystals, as you guys know, there used to have been 2 setups, one for XP and one for mastery, and then they came out with the new Dawn crystals. So now that everything is changing, I am slowly converting all of these into one, so like you don't need either or anymore. So the past few days, what I've been doing is I've been slowly buying these up, and I think they sit on the market, but that doesn't mean they're cheap. So that's like 40 billion in crystals right here. And yeah, it's not that I can't get all of them, it's just like they're expensive and I have a lot of upgrades to make. And then eventually the goal is to upgrade to the Crystal of Breathing Verdure. These will replace all of these in the future. Luckily, these crystals are, you know, Lifeskillers have it easy. And all you don't have like 8 other or 10 other presets. All you have to do is get maxed out Crystal of Breathing Verdure and full Jin Life XP crystals, because these are the new ones and kind of nice actually. They're very expensive, but they're nice to have. If you are a new player, obviously there's 3 different ones. This is the beginner one, the Wan Life XP, it's 4%, and then the Bon is, where is the Bon? This one right here, it's 8%, and then the Jins are 15. Obviously, if you're a life skiller, you want the best in slot one. It's just expensive. And then instead of having like 30 different crystals over here for the life and then vital, you combine a life and vital crystal and the essence of verdure, which is the hard part actually, to get the Crystal of Breathing one. So let's say next month or something, this is going to be what all these slots are going to be. It just takes time, it's very expensive, and yeah, so for all of you life skillers out there, it's about 45 billion silver to get 6 Jin Dawns. It's kind of crazy, but it's not the most expensive thing. And also, these are still new, and let me just show you right here. So to give you an idea, these are the life crystals. You can buy them, but yeah, like you need 6 of them. So here's what I would do. If you can buy any of these, I would do that, because having these is better than not having them. So even if you're like not at the end game and don't have all the gins yet, just try to get any of them, just because they will, you know, boost it up over time. So yeah, also with that said, these thingies, these are very new and everyone needs them. You need, I think, 16 total, and everyone is just waiting till it goes max price, and then I assume they'll sell it. I think, let me see. Let me do some calculations. So you need Rusalka corals. This is the bottleneck. I've been gathering them myself. I think you need about 1,600 of them. This is the easy part, actually. I know if you try to put an order on Rusalka corals, there's like 100,000 orders on it. So I would just recommend gathering it. The hardest part, though, is the other 3 items: 100 sharps, 100 magical shards, and 200 Lightstones. They're not hard to get, it's just expensive. So I think each crystal is probably worth around 3-ish billion silver. So if I were to calculate all of them, so let's see, 6, 10, yeah, you need 16 total times like 3-ish billion silver. And then, yeah, it's about 100 billion silver to get all your Lifeskill crystals, which in theory is actually very cheap compared to if you were a grinder and then need all of these other things and like 10 other presets of crystals. I would consider 100 billion silver very cheap to max out like one type and not have to worry about it. But yeah, this is what I've been spending all my silver on these days, just buying out and making these gin crystals. I made one of these earlier today and 15 more. Very cool, right? This is my goal for September, and I'm going to fill this one out. All right, and this one is the combat XP. I literally use it on seasonal characters to get myself to like 61 or something. And then if I AFK on a training dummy just for XP, this is what I use. That's it. Just AFK whenever I need combat XP. And a few other things before we wrap up. I guess I'll show you some of these real quick, the important ones. I have a separate video, so I'm gonna just kind of speed run through this one. So if you were choosing one of these defensive options, what would I do? The Lightstone and Artifact combo I would use is the defensive one, which is 4 Iron Wall, which is the Rigid Shield one. And then if you can get the Dekia Artifacts or more all defense, that's also good. Budget options for that one would be all damage reduction. This is the budget one that probably everyone has. This is the best in slot expensive version. For PvP, your general standard is probably double accuracy artifacts with extra AP against adventurers. So 3 blights, 1 iridescent is another 24 AP against players, which is nice. And for PvE, whatever combo you're using, depending on if you are capped or not. If you are uncapped, you're using all-out attack to reach the cap for AP. And then if you're overcapped, you're either using target openings or vicious shadows. If you can only pick one because they require strike crystals, and I understand those are expensive, I would probably choose vicious shadows over target opening because it is slightly more damage, but that damage comes in the form of back attacks. So keep that in mind. If you are like watching a movie on the side while you're grinding and you don't always like pay attention, target openings is probably going to be overall better. But if you're locked in, vicious shadows will do more damage. So really just depends on your playstyle. And do you take breaks every like 20 minutes for some reason, then just go target openings and not think about it. But yeah, if I were to pick one personally, I would do vicious shadows over target openings. But it also really just depends where you grind, what you do. So ideally you want to get both of them, but if you can only get one, vicious shadows. And then for, yeah, I guess that's about it. Like everything else is just life skills. I talked about that in another video. If you're leveling for combat crystals for 400%, you use this on seasons or on a dummy and you should be good to go. Other ways to prepare for Edania content and everything, if you can, I'll just talk about some perfumes because those are like a hot topic. So what I would recommend, Overcap players use Deep Sea. If you're not Overcap, you use Perfume of Courage. And if you're within the range and you're doing just fine, but you feel like the spot is kind of scary or you want to grind nighttime comfortably, Bracing Spirits is a good cheap option. But what I'd recommend is Charm. Charm is a good one because it gives 750 HP and movement speed. They are kind of expensive, so it's one of those things where it's really just the defensive and HP option. And is it good? Not particularly, but it's safer. Otherwise, you know, the events have given a lot of Perfume of Calcs, which is very defensive, not so much HP wise, but like these probably you are the ones that you have a few of just because you logged into the game, or you know, they give it for events. So chances are you have these. I think these are safe alternatives. And otherwise, if you're pushing trash loot per hour, depending on your spot, Deep Seas is probably going to be your best option. Otherwise, Courage is good. And if you're grinding Edania, this is the new species Harmony. And then anywhere else, you use the species type that you're grinding at. As always, I like to talk about this. You see this Blessing Mystic Beast scroll right here? I know this is always people are going to argue with me, but dude, these are not worth buying. Dude, they're 50 mil each. Look at that price. The other day, they were pushing 60 mil, and then people are like, maybe we should sell them. And then it goes down in price. All right, so I understand Edania doesn't have any houses, or like, you know, like houses where you could use furniture buffs. So people buy these because they're lazy. If you want to buy them, that's cool. I'll sell them to you and just like fat profit off of it. And I'm just being honest with you. These are not really worth it. Here's what I would do. Okay, see these furniture buffs. Go to your decoration, scroll down, buy like literally anything. If you're on a budget though, keep that in mind. So what I would buy is probably like, where is it? This thingy. All AP plus 15 for 3 hours. They sit on the market. 200 mil for 3 hours. So let's keep this in mind. You get a total of 10 charges, 30 hours of use. 30 hours, 250 mil. Now, if you're buying these blessings, you are paying 50 mil each for 1 hour. So 30 hours, that's like that's a lot, dude. That's like 1.5 billion silver for the equivalent of a 250 mil item. You know, at some point you have, like, I understand convenience tax of things, but at some point you have to be like, that maybe is not worth it in the long run. Like every hour, or like every 30 hours, that's minus 1 bill. Like, I get it, in the grand scheme of things, 1 bill is not a lot of silver, but it adds up over time. Like, you know, let's say you grind more than 30 hours a week or something, and then like at some point people are going to start realizing that the opportunity cost of you running these consistently is maybe just not worth it. So yeah, I understand that like people are grinding Orbita like me, making 3 to 4 billion silver an hour, and 50 mil is nothing. But like, to non-endgame players, this is probably adding up to your total amount of silver. So yeah, like, I'm just being honest with you. If you want to buy them, that's cool. I'll sell them to you if you want to. Like, I could profit. It doesn't bother me. But I'm like also offering you guys an opportunity. Like, I'm teaching you guys how to not spend all that money as well. So like, literally even any of these these are kind of expensive, I'll admit, but like, these also give more stats for stuff. But for everyone else that just wants the plus 15 AP, literally just buy one of these for 250. Let me show you how it works as well. Okay, so I understand that Edania doesn't have houses, so it's kind of inconvenient, but here's how it works. You would go to your house, and then you place the item, and you know how you could just use these items? So it's like you go into your house and then you click the thing, you see plus 15 AP, you hit the enter button, and you got the same exact buff for 3 hours instead of 1 hour. So yeah, I'm just kind of curious to know, like, at what point are people are like, maybe I do want that 1 bill extra over a 30-hour period of time. Like, at the end of the day, it's whatever. You do what you want with your silver. Like, yeah, I get it, 50 mil, not that much to end game players, but there's an alternative. Anyway, with that said, those are all my crystals and everything, crystal setup, artifacts, buffs I use. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to point you guys in the right direction. Join the Discord and all that stuff. And I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.